The News at 10.
Good evening. It was indeed an historic day as a new era dawns for Israelis and Palestinians.
After decades of bloodshed and death, hatred and horror, the leaders of Israel and the PLO met today to sign an agreement for peace, replacing pistols with pens and hand grenades with a simple handshake. It was a breathtaking moment of hope and history as President Clinton emerged from the White House flanked by Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat. Two men who've been mortal enemies for a generation, putting aside the pain of the past to nurture the promise of the future. All it took was a sweep of a pen as Israel's Foreign Minister Shimon Peres and a top Arafat aide signed the peace accord that will bring Palestinian rule to the Israeli-occupied West Bank and Gaza Strip. The leaders present hailing this historic agreement.
We say to you today, in a loud and a clear voice, enough of blood and tears. Enough.
Without peace in the Middle East, peace in the world will not be complete.
The children of Abraham, the descendants of Isaac and Ishmael, have embarked together on a bold journey. Together, today, with all our hearts and all our souls, we bid them shalom, salam, peace.
And for the thousands of dignitaries and diplomats and even former presidents who watched today's events at the White House and many more who saw it around the world via live television, it was truly an amazing sight as these longtime foes signed an historic deal for peace. Mark Mooney was at that ceremony today, and he has a live report for us from the White House now. Mark?
Jack, this had to be one of the most historic, indeed most memorable days at the White House in a long, long time to see peace break out between ancient, implacable enemies. You just know that something as momentous as this wasn't long in the making. The breakthrough came on Bill Clinton's watch, but it was former President Jimmy Carter who laid the groundwork in the Camp David Accords, and former President George Bush who got the parties to sit together in Madrid. American resolve over several decades finally paid off. It didn't seem to matter that this all came about under the auspices of Norway. For the president whose luck it was to have the Israelis and Palestinians sign a peace agreement in his backyard now, it mattered only that it happened.
Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Chairman, I pledge the active support of the United States of America to the difficult work that lies ahead.
Wearing his trademark keffiyeh, PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat basked in the sunshine of legitimacy, having played for 40 years the roles of a wandering guerrilla leader and international pariah. He listened to his arch nemesis explain what it was like for him to take the road less traveled.
It's not so easy. Neither for myself, as a soldier in Israel's war, nor for the people of Israel, not to the Jewish people in the diaspora, who are watching us now with great hope mixed with apprehension.
Pledging to uphold the values of peace, freedom, and coexistence, Arafat addressed the Israeli people and their leaders directly.
Let me assure them that the difficult decision we reached together was one that required great and exceptional courage.
After the foreign minister signed the Declaration of Principles, came what had to be the climax of the day. Like two feuding cousins making up, Arafat extended his hand to Rabin, while President Clinton stepped back like a benevolent uncle. The Israeli leaders Rabin and Peres met briefly with President Clinton in the Oval Office after, and they went home to Israel today. Arafat, for his part, went over to the State Department to meet with Secretary of State Warren Christopher. He is staying overnight, and then tomorrow morning he will meet with some congressional leaders on Capitol Hill, and then he has a speech scheduled at noon at the National Press Club. This is Mark Mooney reporting live at the White House.
Mark, what's going on down in Washington tonight, if anything?
Well, in the Blue Room here at the White House tonight, there was a celebratory dinner with three former presidents in attendance, Ford, Carter, and Bush. The latter two, Carter and Bush, are spending the night as guests of Bill Clinton, and it's believed it's the first time that three presidents have been under the roof here overnight at the White House.
Okay, thank you, Mark, very much.
And in the Mideast, reactions of both joy and anger to today's signing ceremony. Palestinians waved flags and cheered wildly in the Gaza Strip and Jericho, while young Jews in Jerusalem were dancing in the streets to celebrate peace. But those sentiments were not shared by everyone. Palestinians in Jordan and Syria burned PLO leader Yasser Arafat in effigy, while in Lebanon, security forces fired on protesters, killing 7 people and wounding 41. This as some on both sides of the issue expressed outrage at the peace deal.
Our people will not tolerate what Arafat has done. Anwar Sadat did the same and paid with his life. The people will take out their vengeance.
Others, like me, believe that this is merely a paving stone, a very rapid move towards a PLO state, which will lead to the next war, to increased terrorism, ultimately to conflict.
And confrontations over the peace plan reached even to the White House. Several people arrested in a clash between Palestinians and Jews near the White House that came within minutes of today's signing. Jack?
All right, here is what that peace accord actually means to the people in Israel and in the occupied territories. The plan calls for an elected Palestinian council to take over the governing of Jericho and Gaza, with negotiations for Israeli withdrawal from all the occupied territories to begin no later than the 3rd year of the 5-year agreement. And the accord is already leading to other moves in the Middle East. Jordan is reportedly ready to announce a peace agreement with Israel, and negotiations with Syria on the disputed area of the Golan Heights are now set to get underway.
Like their brothers and sisters in Israel, Jews in our area are reacting to today's historic agreement with a mixture of hope and fear. Hope that peace is at hand, but fear that this might be just another PLO trick. Barry Cunningham has this part of the story.
One of the most powerful moments in the history of the Jewish people left many New York Jews ambivalent, unsure whether to rejoice or tremble with fear. Rabbi Richard Thaler of Sutton Place Synagogue has made 28 trips to Israel. Watching the signing ceremony in New York, he knew only too well that the hand of peace offered by PLO chairman Yasser Arafat is a hand with Jewish blood on it.
I think the Prime Minister was correct in receiving the hand of peace. Nevertheless, many Jews are weary about the sincerity of that extended hand. We pray for peace, and yet we need to remain on guard.
To other members of the congregation, Arafat has always been just another word for terrorist, and it's not easy to accept yesterday's enemy as today's friend.
I was very touched, more touched than I thought I would be, and really felt very tearful got very teary-eyed when Arafat put his hand out to Rabin. That was quite a moment in my life as far as I'm concerned.
I was born in Hungary, which is now no longer a communist country. I remember the Berlin Wall going up and coming down, and I saw the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and I see this in broad strokes in that context, and that's the report we saw start out with the word amazing. It's overwhelming that this has happened in a couple of years.
I was really quite overwhelmed at the prospect of a peace in the Middle East, of the thought that in my lifetime I could travel from here to Israel and be perhaps safe.
Having prayed and hoped for peace for 30 years, now that the hand of peace has actually been extended in the Mideast, it may take some time for American Jews to absorb the shock. At the Sutton Place Synagogue, Barry Cunningham, Channel 11, News at 10.
That word shock could also describe the reaction of some Arabs in our area, shocked by the thought that peace may in fact be on the way with the people they once vowed to destroy. Deborah Quintana reports.
Car horns sounded with celebration, and red, white, black, and green colors of the Palestinian flag waved proudly through Main Street in Paterson, New Jersey. In this Arab, in fact mostly Palestinian neighborhood, all business nearly stopped as attention poised to witness history. Inside the Jordan restaurant where the regulars dine on pita bread and hummus, no one dared block the view of the live televised coverage. You can see it in their faces, in their eyes. The opinions of these Palestinians are clearly divided. One man's head cradled in his hands in disapproval, while another hopeful. One nervously fingered prayer beads. Their opinions are divided along generational lines. A round table of an older generation of men from the West Bank feel betrayed by PLO leader Yasser Arafat. They don't mince words. One said Arafat is simply crazy.
Everything is not right. The peace is not right. Everything is not right.
Not good for us.
Why?
We need all country, all Palestine.
not only Gaza and Jericho.
While the older generation would prefer to see Jerusalem and other lands under solely Palestinian rule, the younger generation is satisfied with this step towards peace.
We've got to live like we used to 100 years ago. We used to live as a bunch of people, Arabs, Christian, Muslim, and Jews.
After today, I hope no blood.
We tried war, so we try peace now.
But while opinions in this community are clearly split, they do agree that the world must look at this treaty as not the end of a chapter in history, but as a new beginning. In Paterson, New Jersey, Deborah Quintana, Channel 11, News at 10.
Today's historic agreement is a bold new step towards peace in the Middle East. But here in New York City, the latest battle in the war against terrorism is about to be played out in federal court. The World Trade Center bombing trial gets underway tomorrow, and Mary Murphy is here now with a preview for us. Mary?
Okay, thanks, Kaity. This is being called the trial of the decade, yet federal marshals say it's their biggest security alert ever. Tomorrow morning, the first roll call for 5,000 prospective jurors who will travel through a frozen zone in Lower Manhattan. The sirens that screeched by Foley Square this past Friday, responding to a minor closet fire in the World Trade Center, served as an eerie reminder of a Friday past, February 26, 1993.
I never want to go through that again. I'll never go in that building. It was horrible, the feeling, not getting out, not being able to get out.
Just a big boom and a flash, and then everything was in ruins.
6.5 months later, construction workers are still sealing up the massive crater from a car bomb that blew through 5 levels of the parking garage beneath the Vista Hotel, killing 6 people and injuring more than 1,000. Meantime, at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, a defense attorney for the accused mastermind of an alleged Muslim fanatical plot delivered a fresh suit to his client to prepare for jury selection.
I think it's the concern of all Muslims in America and throughout the world that this case is not a case about a code word called Islamic fundamentalism.
But prosecutors believe Abdullah's client, Egyptian-born Mahmoud Abba Halima, organized a group of Islamic terrorists united in their hatred of Western democracies with pro-Israeli stands. Among the 4 suspects appearing for trial tomorrow is 25-year-old Mohammed Salameh, who was photographed 3 years ago outside the state trial of El Said Nosser, an Arab acquitted of killing Rabbi Meir Kahane. Prosecutors say Salameh rented the van that carried the Trade Center bomb, then got arrested when he returned a week later to get a refund. The government says phone records show Salameh frequently called a 3rd suspect, chemical engineer Nadel Ayad, from the Jersey City storage facility where a deadly mix of chemicals was allegedly stashed. And prosecution briefs state that police found a timing device for bombs in Ayad's home. Only the 4th suspect, Ahmad Ajaj, was nowhere near the Trade Center when it was bombed. He was already in federal detention, accused of illegally entering the United States last September carrying bombing manuals. The FBI believes this fugitive, Ramzi Ahmed Youssef, arrived here with Ajaj and disappeared after the bombing.
Youssef sometimes masquerades as an electrical engineer. He has a thorough knowledge of chemicals and explosives.
One person who won't be physically present at the trial is Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman, accused of being the spiritual leader to the defendants. He will face a later trial in a case where security concerns are an understatement. This graphic shows the frozen zones where no traffic or people dare tread next to and behind the United States courthouse. For the last several weeks, U.S. Marshals from around the country have been filtering into New York City. They are part of the National Special Operations Group, and they've already set up a command center here at the U.S. Attorney's Office in St. Andrews Plaza, also at the federal courthouse right next door. They will study photos and diagrams of the courtroom where the trial will take place, and diagrams of the surrounding floors, not to mention the entire perimeter of the courthouse.
They're going to create an aura of fear in the courthouse, combined with the pretrial publicity.
Robert Ellis represents Bilal Al-Kazi, a Jordanian-born cab driver who shared a bank account with Mohammed Salameh. Al-Kazi's case was recently severed from the others, even though a witness claims Al-Kazi appeared at the storage facility where the chemicals were kept.
Let me just say, Mary, that eyewitness identification is probably the least reliable kind of evidence you can have in a criminal trial.
Why is that?
Because people are prone to make mistakes. Didn't you ever run up to somebody at a bus stop, grab their arm and say, "Oh, hi, Mary, there you are," and then say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were somebody else"?
But we have learned prosecutors plan to use plenty of identification testimony. In fact, one witness will testify that he saw 3 of the defendants at a New Jersey gas station at 4:30 in the morning on the day of the Trade Center bombing. They were allegedly filling up a yellow rental van with gas and one other car. And we have plenty of other issues to discuss the rest of the week. Barry Cunningham will be doing jury selection beginning tomorrow, and I'll have other reports later in the week.
Terrific. Thanks, Mary. We have a lot more news to tell you about as we continue tonight. With a week to go, there are several schools that are still not ready and won't be ready even in time for the delayed opening. We'll tell you what they are.
Tomorrow is primary day. Mary Dinkins talking tough tonight, while Liz Holtzman waits to see if the voters will let her keep her job as city comptroller.
Big scare for talk show host Oprah Winfrey as a package she was handed explodes inside her limousine.
We'll show you what happened when a 1,000-pound turtle showed up in the waters of Flushing Meadows today.
Now we're going to switch to the Weather Center, which after tonight shall be known as the G-Spot, to welcome Irv Jakovsky and get a preview of tonight's weather. Irv?
Oh, we're looking good. I didn't know the name yet, but we do have some clear skies, 24 hours of good weather, and then a change in the next 48 hours, and we found snow on the map. We'll have details, 5-day forecast, after this.
We are in the forefront of attempting to develop entrepreneurship as a way of life here. MCI understands that this is a two-way street.
The businesses in the community band together through the chamber. With Proof Positive, save money. You always get MCI's best price. MCI always does what's right for you.
It's helped us grow small businesses into large businesses.
It's not just one business out there, it's the whole community trying to make Sioux City a better place to live.
This is Berry Berry Kicks, a different kind of kid cereal.
Hey, Mom, can we get that, please?
And you know what they'll do to get a kid cereal.
I'll take out the garbage.
It's got natural fruit flavors.
Tell you what, I'll give up my video games.
Real fruit juice and less sugar than most kid cereals. So when your kids say,
please,
you'll gladly say, okay. Berry Berry Kicks.
This was worth it.
How Maxine stays looking great. 1, a vegetarian diet. 2, a daily jog. And 3, a delicate exfoliating treatment on the weekend at the Bronx Zoo Wildlife Park, where imaginations run wild.
Watch this. You're going around a turn. Suddenly your engine is racing like crazy, but you're hardly moving. Then thump. Your transmission catches. Big trouble? Not always. AMCO's trained mechanics will check your transmission like nobody's business. They have the experience to find the small problem that acts like a big one. Truth is, half the cars serviced by AMCO don't need a new transmission. If your transmission's slipping, go to AMCO. AAMCO.
Police tonight report that a woman walking her dog in Central Park was forced into a wooded area earlier today and raped. They say it happened near 82nd Street in Central Park West. The victim, described as in her 40s, was walking her dog around 10:30 this morning when she was allegedly assaulted. She was treated at Metropolitan Hospital. Her assailants described as a black man in his 30s with a beard, about 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing about 180 pounds. With the delayed opening of New York City schools a week away now, there is word from the new schools chancellor tonight that 2 schools will definitely have to remain closed. Pauline Liu has that and more on the asbestos mess.
Parents and students protested outside the Board of Education in Brooklyn over delays in the asbestos cleanup, while the superintendents of the city's 32 school districts met inside with the new schools chancellor and emerged expressing much the same frustration.
I asked 3 questions 3 weeks ago. Does my school have asbestos? When is my school going to be open? When is going to be abated? And to the same 3 questions, I still have to tell the parents, I don't know.
On his first full day as schools chancellor, Ramon Cortines was also visibly upset after being briefed about the cleanup conducted by the School Construction Authority.
It is obvious that it is in the right form, but it is inaccurate.
What do you mean? The chancellor raised questions about the accuracy of the School Construction Authority's report after schoolrooms identified in the report as asbestos-free turned out to be contaminated. So far, the authority has reported on only 304 buildings, about a quarter of the 1,166 school buildings at stake. Under fire, the authority blamed some of its problems on accessibility, claiming that custodians were not always available to unlock doors so that cleanup workers could get in to do their job. The School Construction Authority has determined that at least 2 schools will remain closed, and one of them is PS 31 here in the Greenpoint section of Brooklyn. The other is PS 85 in Astoria, Queens. The sign on the front door reads closed until September 20th, but extensive cleanup work is likely to keep it closed much longer than that.
Yeah, I'm upset.
Mohammed Youssef, whose 4 children attend the school, calls the situation unacceptable. His work cut out for him, the new school's chancellor is holding to September 20th as his target date for the start of school.
Is it realistic? It is unrealistic not to open on the 20th.
Pauline Liu for the Channel 11 News at 10.
Well, the Democratic primary for mayor is tomorrow, but with that race not expected to be close, Mayor Dinkins' mind was clearly on November, as that is when he may well be fighting for his political life. A short time ago, he outlined a blueprint for the future, concentrating on jobs and on education. Our Ed Miller is standing by live right now at City Hall to tell us just what the mayor is proposing. Ed?
Kaity, the mayor says if he gets 4 more years in office, he'll get rid of the Central Board of Education, create 110,000 new jobs, and merge housing and transit cops with New York City police to create one giant super agency. He completely skipped over tomorrow's primary, as you said, which he is expected to easily win, instead concentrating his passion for a blistering attack on fusion candidate Rudolph Giuliani.
Some people, including the Republican candidate, are mired in a mythical New York past, in gaslight New York, in the good old days that never were.
David Dinkins coming out swinging tonight against his rival Rudolph Giuliani, calling him a cynic who plotted to imprison Haitian refugees and an opportunist who exploits fear and smear. Dinkins even comparing him to Ronald Reagan, saying New Yorkers must reject Rudy-nomics. It is clearly the beginning of a major offense on the part of the mayor, who is proud of his gentlemanly image, but who was also 10 points behind in the latest Daily News poll.
We've already proven you don't have to be loud to be strong. The Republican candidate played chief cheerleader and angry master of ceremonies at the first City Hall police riot in our town's history. A Republican candidate who doesn't understand what our neighborhoods were yesterday or what they are about today has little chance of understanding what they will be about tomorrow.
Angry parents over asbestos in their kids' schools may have been the catalyst for the mayor, who now says he wants to dump the Central Board of Education and give the power back to the local neighborhood.
I envision a school system where parents are consulted and valued and appreciated.
This is the same education policy that Giuliani has been advocating for the past several months. Dinkins defeated Giuliani by only 2 percentage points back in 1989. Giuliani tonight calling the mayor's personal attacks on him distasteful and almost not worthy of response.
He prides himself on being a nice guy. He spends half his speech personally attacking me. Now that has to say to everyone that he's got no record. Because when you see an incumbent attacking and attacking and attacking personally like this, you realize he's trying to cover no record. And also, I think the mayor's getting too desperate too early.
It's been said that timing is everything, and in New York politics, that means whatever city crisis is happening at the moment could sway the election. For now, that means the school asbestos mess, and whether or not Janet Reno decides to launch a full federal investigation into what actually happened in Crown Heights. Such an investigation could prove to be very embarrassing for the mayor and could cost him votes. I'm Ed Miller, live at City Hall. Back to you.
All right, Ed, thank you. Even though it's on the undercard tomorrow, the best fight could turn out to be the one for comptroller. Herman Badillo and Alan Hevesy are trying to wrest the job away from Elizabeth Holtzman, whose credibility has been called into question in the closing days of the campaign. Marvin Scott has more.
Hi, fellas. I'm Alan Hevesy, running for city controller. Please come out tomorrow.
It was down to the wire in a downright nasty campaign for the Democratic nomination for comptroller. Alan Hevesy, who has been running third in most polls but has gained some impressive media endorsements, out in Lower Manhattan late today, trying to shake the image of being the unknown candidate.
I think we've solved the recognition problem. Stage one were the television advertisements that said Alan who and Alan why. I think we're there now with name recognition, and now it's a question of convincing people to, if they haven't committed to me, to shift their allegiance from other candidates.
Hevesy says he's confident of victory. Others aren't so sure, but feel he could force a runoff, which will happen if the first-place winner gets less than 40% of the vote. Herman Badillo, vying for the Hispanic vote during a telephone interview, is a winner before voters even go to the polls tomorrow. If he doesn't make the Democratic line on the ballot, he's still assured of the Republican liberal line. Badillo, who defected from the Dinkins camp, hopes to provide a protest vote for anti-Dinkins Democrats.
Some suggest if you do very well in the Democratic primary, you may shift allegiance and join Mayor Dinkins.
No, I'm very clear. I came out for Rudy Giuliani because I disagreed philosophically with Mayor Dinkins, and obviously there's no way I can change that.
Meet and greet, Liz Holtzman. Much of the focus of the controller's race has been on incumbent Elizabeth Holtzman, getting in some last-minute campaigning in Brooklyn tonight. She has spent much of her time fending off charges that she had improperly helped a bank win city business and then tried to cover it up by not permitting the release of an investigative report she says is incomplete and misleading.
And if there were anything showing that I did anything improper about the selection of Fleet Bank, that would be leaked, as we've seen these leaks already, and it would be banner headlines. There is nothing to show I've done anything wrong.
Analysts feel the manner in which voters respond tomorrow will have less to do with the way they feel about the issues and much more to do with which candidates they trust the most. In Brooklyn, this is Marvin Scott for the Channel 11 News at 10.
So if you're a registered Democrat living in New York City, here's when you can vote in tomorrow's primary. You have 15 hours to do it, from 6 in the morning until 9 at night. And if you have any questions about how to vote tomorrow, the Board of Elections has set up the special hotline phone number. It's Vote NYC. That translates into 868-3692.
There's a tight primary battle in Nassau County. Democrats Ben Zwirn and Richard Kessel are squaring off for the right to face Republican County Executive Tom Gelata come November. It has been 3 decades since a Democrat held the top spot in Nassau. Long Island correspondent Drew Scott reports.
You would hardly know it. There are few signs and no TV or radio ads. But tomorrow is a major Democratic primary day for Nassau County voters. Their choice is this man, Richard Kessel, the head of the State Consumer Protection Board, or this man, Ben Zwirn, North Hempstead Town's supervisor.
We have got the best record on the environment. We've got the best record on ethics. We've got the best record on fiscal conservatism, at the same time providing services for those who are in most need. I mean, in many senses, I can't understand why any Democrat, and even Republicans or conservatives or liberals, wouldn't support the record that we have in our town.
He has sat on the Board of Supervisors for 3.5 years, and basically he's put the county right into the sink, right into the toilet, along with Tom Gelata. We've got to get these politicians out. Zwirn and Gelata, they're both the same.
The winner of Tuesday's race faces an even tougher fight against Republican incumbent Thomas Gelata in November. Kessel has the Democratic Party official endorsement, but Zwirn is highly respected as a reformer, and yesterday picked up an all-important endorsement from Newsday.
Newsday's never endorsed in a county exec primary race in the history of the newspaper, so I think they were sending a clear message. And what's important is to get that kind of endorsement from somebody who's a neutral observer, somebody who's not a political ally of one side or the other, but is trying to evaluate what's best for the residents and taxpayers of Nassau County.
Who best represents change? Someone like me who's fought the system, fought Lilco, fought Cablevision, fought the railroad for 20 years, or someone like Ben Zwirn, who basically has been in 3.5 years and rubber-stamped almost everything that Tom Gelata has done.
What candidate seems to interest you this November?
I haven't made up my mind yet.
That's what I'm going to be, independent. I'm going to be looking for the guy who's going to tell me the right thing.
Polls, however informal, say the race will be a tight one. Republicans, though, say Kessel and Zwirn have flung so much mud at each other that few voters will turn out on Tuesday, waiting instead until the big one in November. From Long Island, Drew Scott, Channel 11 News at 10.
Just last week, she was ranked the richest entertainer by Forbes magazine. But today, life was not so perfect for talk show host Oprah Winfrey. A smoke bomb exploded in her limousine in Miami, where she was taping a program on crime against tourists. The device was apparently inside a small package that was handed to Winfrey or to one of her assistants, but no one happily was hurt in that incident.
When the News at 10 continues, we're going to go live to Queens, where they're experimenting with a new idea, door-to-door service for some late-night bus riders.
The Yankees fought the Raindrops and the Brewers up in Milwaukee tonight, all the while with an eye on the Orioles and Red Sox up in Boston.
And we have the epitome of down and dirty. We're talking highlights of the Mud Bowl '93 still ahead.
Who's got the defense making the clutch plays? Who's got Key, Farr, and Abbott throwing strikes and saving games? They've got New York City in a pennant race. Who plays the Yankees? 11's best. We
Rangers the Brewers tomorrow at 8.
Ever since I was a little girl, I knew I wanted to fly, and when I got the opportunity to fly jets, I just had to go for it. I wanted to buy a fun car that kind of gave everyone else on the road an impression of my personality. And therefore, I was looking for something fun and sporty and sleek and looked like it could possibly take off if given the proper runway.
How many colors can the eye see? How many sounds can the ear hear? There's no limit. That's why Sony created the videotape. To capture every subtle shade. The videotape. For richer color, truer sound. If it's worth recording, isn't it worth a Sony?
Nothing sends chills down your spine and straight to your wallet like the cost of healthcare today.
Your medical bills, sir.
Which is why we're introducing HMO Blue to calm your fears with the largest choice of hospitals statewide.
Really?
Without the frightening high premiums.
Oh, yeah?
New HMO Blue from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey. A better way of caring.
Jury selection began today for a 19-year-old New Jersey man, charged in the so-called Hail Mary murder case. 19-year-old James Wanger was charged with strangling Robert Solomon last year in a ritual killing the prosecutors say ended with the victim reciting the Hail Mary. 3 other young men accused of plotting the killing with Wanger have pleaded guilty. They are expected to testify for the prosecution. Another teenager believed to be the mastermind still awaits trial. Opening statements in the case could begin as early as tomorrow afternoon.
Kaity, there was a tense 5-hour standoff at Rikers Island early this morning as corrections officers blocked the only bridge leading to that prison. Scores of police officers and city officials rushed to the scene where about 200 guards protested stalled contract negotiations. Mayor Dinkins even canceled his plans to go to Washington for the Israeli-Palestinian peace accord signing in order to monitor the developing crisis at Rikers Island. Eventually, the whole thing ended peacefully and no arrests were made. No word yet on when the city and the guards union will resume their labor negotiations.
A bizarre incident over the weekend is fueling the fury of some Staten Island residents complaining there's just too much airplane activity in their neighborhood. Deborah Basilino says she saw something fly off an airplane Saturday evening, and she was right. What turned out to be a piece of an airplane wing landed in a ball field about 500 feet from Basilino's home. She says her husband retrieved it, carried it to their driveway. The Basilinos and other families are putting their homes up for sale because of the heavy air traffic from nearby Newark Airport.
The next time you tell the driver, stop the bus, I want to get off, don't be surprised if he steps on the brakes. While it may not be door-to-door service, a new program is in the works that will allow late-night passengers to get dropped off at more convenient and perhaps safer stops. Laurel Fairworth's in Astoria, Queens now to tell us how this thing works. Laurel?
Jack, for those of us who commute late at night, the walk home from the bus stop can be cold, lonely, and dark. And so the Department of Transportation has come up with a new way to get you home safer. Do you ever worry?
Oh, yeah, if I get off in a dark street.
What are you afraid of?
Nobody being around.
Understandably, at night, Maureen Beltramo is nervous about walking home from the bus stop. To allay those fears, the Department of Transportation has come up with a novel concept called Request a Stop, or bus stop to doorstep. Riders can ask to be dropped off anywhere along the regular route.
If you can be dropped off a block or two earlier between a designated bus stop, that seems to be a way to improve the sense of passenger security and convenience for the riding public.
Don't expect all the buses to be stopping on every corner. They have to be in residential areas, and the bus has to be able to pull over to the curb. The pilot program will start in October between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. in Staten Island and Queens. Right now, the Transit Authority and 7 independent bus companies are in the process of identifying likely spots. We picked the 19A line in Queens at random. This may or may not be one of the routes chosen, but it definitely qualifies with its dark, lonely stretches. Most people thought it was a great idea, but even so, some were not convinced.
I don't drive. That's my transportation is a bus, but I take it during the daytime.
Would this encourage you to take it at night?
I don't think so. No.
The extra stops won't cost a penny more, and believe it or not, it shouldn't take you any longer to get home. The Transit Authority hopes this will discourage riders from using illegal gypsy cabs.
I don't see any problem with it, as long as you can pull to the curb and it's not dangerous in any way to the passenger getting off the bus.
You wouldn't mind doing that?
Not at all.
Don't forget, don't ask the bus driver to pull over tomorrow. This program doesn't start until October in Staten Island and Queens, and the routes have not yet been chosen. And of course, we'll keep you updated on that. We're live in Queens. I'm Laurel Fairworth. Back to you, Jack and Kaity.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Up next, as News at 10 continues, we'll tell you about a new test program that may offer some hope to people with Alzheimer's disease.
And a look back at the career of one of America's longest-running and most successful television stars, Raymond Burr. He died early today. Stay with us.
Killing people anyway, and so, you know, you were repeating.
Channel 11, WPIX New York, our Tribune broadcasting station.
Now, Mr. Fidelford, we'll talk about the painting.
Okay.
I have some samples. Oh, here we are. Now, the kitchen's to be white. Not a cold antiseptic hospital white.
No.
A little warmer, but still not to suggest any other color but white.
Uh-huh.
Even the most demanding job has a simple answer at your Benjamin Moore dealer. Call 1-800-826-2623 for the dealer nearest you. Benjamin Moore, a stroke of brilliance.
The longest-running show in New York is also the hottest ticket in town. Be at Belmont Park for Super Saturday on September 18th. That's the day the world's fastest thoroughbreds run for over $1 million. Expect to see California Invader Bertrando, New York's best Devil His Due, America's turf champion Star of Cozine, and undefeated 2-year-olds DeHare in Strategic Maneuver. It's an all-star day with an all-stakes pick 6, too. Don't miss Super Saturday at Belmont Park, where you can beat the odds, but you can't beat the show or the place.
The lowest price international calls to Latin America are with MCI.
The lowest price international calls to China,
Japan, Canada,
Hong Kong,
Mexico,
Korea,
Africa
with MCI.
The lowest price international calls
just about anywhere
with MCI. Join now and get $50 of free calling worldwide.
$50 of free calling
worldwide.
Now, when you join MCI and friends around the world,
you get $50 of free calling.
And the lowest price calls
to any 2 numbers worldwide.
And that's a great deal.
In any language.
It seems the more time goes by, the fancier trucks get.
Just a bunch of chrome and snazzy stripes.
What the?
Phew, Chef. No.
So Mazda went and asked folks what a truck should be.
I need a real truck.
And learn one very important lesson.
You don't run through mud in ballet slippers.
Introducing the bigger.
It's bigger.
Meaner.
It's meaner.
All-new Mazda truck. The only import with a 4-liter V6 and 1 monster warranty.
Better told my dinosaur.
The new Mazda truck.
I like my dinosaur. It's a good dinosaur.
Mazda. It just feels right.
Taking another quick look now at our top stories. An historic day in Washington as bitter enemies come together in peace. Yitzhak Shamir and Yasser Arafat shook hands after signing an agreement that will bring Palestinian rule eventually to the West Bank and Gaza Strip. While there was celebration by some in those areas, others were outraged by the deal. In less than 8 hours, the polls will open. Comptroller Elizabeth Holtzman fighting for her political life, trying to avoid a runoff and ensure herself a spot on the ballot come November. Meanwhile, Mayor Dinkins, who is expected to face much less competition tomorrow than he will in November, said today he wants to create 110,000 new jobs in his next term if he's reelected. And at least 2 schools will remain closed past the new school opening date of September the 20th because of asbestos problems. Superintendents of local school districts today called an asbestos status report by the School Construction Authority inadequate for making plans to reopen the schools. Kaity?
New federal warnings are out about faulty hospital respirators in the wake of the tragic explosion in Maimonides Hospital. 3 patients died there, several others injured when an oxygen tank blew up earlier this month. The FDA blames either the respirator or the humidifier, both manufactured by the Puritan Bennett Company, and they say this is not an isolated case. The FDA is issuing new guidelines for taking the units out of service. The Puritan Bennett Company has no comment tonight. Well, we have good news. We have good news tonight for anyone who suffers from Alzheimer's disease. Testing is being done in a New York hospital and nationwide on a drug that may slow the progress of this crippling disease. Karen Hasby has a story.
Throw it to me.
Joanne. Go ahead, Joe.
Good. Good pass.
The role reversal is one of the most painful parts of the disease. 62-year-old Anna DeSimone plays like a child with her grown daughters. 10 years ago, the former schoolteacher began showing signs of what her family now believes is Alzheimer's.
She was teaching at the time, and we noticed that it was harder for her to organize her papers. Right. She would start spreading them out around the house, where she used to be very, very organized, and everything had a place. That was part of it.
Also with her plan book, she was having trouble writing in the boxes of the plan book, so I would have to do it with her every week.
Now, Anna wonders what's happened to her and dreams of returning to teaching as she walks their neighborhood with her husband of 40 years. For the entire family, a glimmer of hope comes from here. Mount Sinai is one of 22 centers around the country testing a drug called Eldepril to treat Alzheimer's.
Our goal with a treatment like this is to slow the progression of the illness so that a person can remain functioning as well as possible, remembering as much as possible for the longest time possible.
Doctors at Mount Sinai are looking for people with moderately advanced Alzheimer's to be part of a 2-year study of Eldepril. They stress the drug is not a magic bullet. It's not a cure for Alzheimer's. But for the DeSimone family, it's helped.
We just need the hope, to hope and believe in something, and it helps her every day, thinking that if she takes these pills, something good's going to happen.
If you have a friend or family member who you think would benefit from Eldepril, you can call 212-241-8329. They'll ask you a couple of quick questions on the phone, and you can find out if your loved one is a good candidate for this program. In Brooklyn, Karen Hasby, Channel 11 News at 10.
And still ahead, Mr. G will be back with the forecast.
And we're going to take you to Mud Bowl 93. You've got to see this.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up.
Hope, I would be deeply honored if you would accompany me to the Junior Gentlemen's Ice Cream Social. Jordache Kid. Why, Ghana Pesgrave, can it be that you have come to court me in blue jeans? But Myrtle, these are Jordache jeans. Jordache jeans? I'll never take off my Jordache jeans. Oh, Myrtle. Oh, Garner.
There's nothing else like it, the special way it feels, like biting into an orange, right down to the peel.
Introducing new Pure Premium Grove Stand from Tropicana. It looks, smells, and tastes so much like fresh squeezed orange juice. Every sip is like biting into a fresh, juicy orange.
Like biting into an orange, right down to the
New Grove Stand, the taste of fresh squeezed.
American's Caribbean.
What to do?
There are hundreds of ways to enjoy our easy islands.
Where to go?
We can take you to more of the Caribbean than anyone.
What's the price?
Right now, we have flyaway vacation packages from $324 to $1,114.
Oh, so nice.
So when can we expect you? In American's Caribbean.
Something special in the air.
With low monthly payments, we've made it really easy to get a 1993 four-wheel drive Chevy Blazer.
Honey, are you sure it says $299 a month?
Yeah, and only $1,000 down. Look at this V6.
Air conditioning. Yeah.
Power windows.
Power locks and anti-lock brakes.
Dad, there's room for a mountain bike. $299 a month. Let me check with the salesman.
Great stereo.
Yeah.
Bring that down. So?
That's $299 a month, all right. We just got ourselves a Blazer.
Yeah! See your local Chevy Geo dealer for a great deal while they last.
Every day should start with Quaker Oats. Every day should feel this good. Nothing cold can make you feel like Quaker oatmeal could.
Nothing cold can steam you up and help keep you rolling all morning like the one and only hot Quaker oatmeal. Nourishment's so pure, hurt near perfect.
Every day should feel this good.
The New York Police Department honored its own today. Mayor Dinkins and Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly were on hand for the special Medal Day ceremony to present the more than 60 awards for valor. Among those distinguished for their acts of bravery were members of the Detective Bureau's Crime Stoppers Unit, which helped solve violent crimes. You've seen many of that unit's efforts right here on Channel 11 on our Fighting Back segment.
On Wall Street today, the stock market was higher, but not much. The Dow Industrials gained more than 12 points, but winners only edged losers by a small margin. Trading came in at 243 million shares. Raymond Burr, who wrote himself into the TV history books with memorable roles as Perry Mason and Ironside, has died at his ranch in Northern California. Mike Jerrick looks back at his career now.
Miss Durham, to your knowledge, did anything occur that might have caused your uncle to feel that his life was in danger?
Raymond Burr, star of TV's Perry Mason and Ironside, has died in California at age 76. His friend Charles McCauley said Burr died of liver cancer. The Canadian-born actor first found stardom in the early 1950s, playing villains in films like the 1954 Hitchcock thriller Rear Window.
I can hardly believe what has just happened.
His other movies include the original Godzilla, but it was on television that Burr established himself. First in 1957 as lawyer Perry Mason, and then a decade later as the wheelchair-using detective Ironside. Burr completed work on his last Perry Mason TV movie just 1 month ago.
Coming up next, Mr. G with his maiden forecast for us here on the News at 10.
And we will show you the scene out at the World's Fairgrounds in Flushing Meadow Park today when a 1,000-pound turtle showed up for some unknown, unexplained reason. Stay with us.
Got the defense, making the clutch plays. Who's got key, far and avid, throwing strikes and saving game? They've got New York City in a pennant race. Who plays the Yankees? 11's best. We play the Yankees on WPIX.
It's the Yankees versus the Brewers tomorrow at 8.
We are in the forefront of attempting to develop entrepreneurship as a way of life here. MCI understands that this is a two-way street.
The businesses in the community band together through the chamber. With Proof Positive, save money. You always get MCI's best price. MCI always does what's right for you.
It's helped us grow small businesses into large businesses.
It's not just one business out there, it's the whole community trying to make Sioux City a better place to live.
The shirt is Robert. The tie is Armici. The sweater is Giannini. And the pockets are empty. That is clothes that will make you, not break you.
I've been thinking about buying an American car. The GM MasterCard was a tremendous incentive. 5% on every purchase really adds up. I work hard at my job.
You've got to make every dollar count. I love my kids.
My wife and I are going to be the biggest influence in their lives. The 5% I earned with the GM card definitely saved me money when I leased my Pontiac Grand Am.
Being a father changes your priorities.
The GM card with no annual fee. To apply, call 1-800-8GM-CARD.
It's a big moment for us tonight on the Channel 11 News at 10 as we welcome yet another person from Channel 2. First it was Mary Murphy, now our new weatherman, Herb Jacoski. You all know him as Mr. G. He has joined us now after, what is it, 15 years?
15 years at Channel 2.
I'm sure your fans, of which there are legion, are just delighted to see you back in the air. We're thrilled to have you here.
Anybody else from Channel 2 coming that I should know about?
Maybe you can tell us. You might know more.
I'm in trouble.
No, this is not the employment office. This is a forecast. And we are going to tell everybody that, first of all, it's just great to be here. And let's give you some of the numbers in the Midtown area as we speak with you. John Farisi with the shot, and we're outside of Radio City, and we're doing the temperature, and it's nice. And it's 72 degrees, the humidity is 66%, the winds are southwesterly at 6, the record high for today is 94.1952, and the record low is 46 degrees, set back in 1917. All right, let's do it, everybody. You want to see snow? The flakes are flying in Denver, where the baseball game was canceled. They had 2 to 4 inches. Winter storm warnings in effect. That snow will quit. Winter wonderland for them, but for us right now, it's very nice, very tranquil, very mild. And here they come, my weather breakers, my weather observers from the other station. There's Lenny Kramer, Woodbury, 73 degrees. Len still calls collect. Jim Witt in Cold Spring, 70. Chatham, New Jersey. That's Helene Shalotsky with clear skies. Watch the satellite. You can see some clouds clouds breaking up. Clear skies, Pennsylvania, that's ours. And we're in for a good stretch of dry weather for the next 12 to 24 hours. And watch the radar, and you'll be able to see a couple of scattered showers. But again, that's well north and west of the city. Matter of fact, that rain associated with the leading edge of a cold front lining up high plains, Kansas, down to Texas. Here comes the front, but it's moving very, very slowly. So we're locked into high pressure, clear skies, southwesterlies pumping in our direction. A warm and a muggy day tomorrow, mid to upper 80s. Then the front comes closer and closer, thickening cloudiness Tuesday night. Wednesday afternoon, first day of Rosh Hashanah. We'll have showers late Wednesday, perhaps Wednesday night. So it goes like this. For the rest of tonight, clear skies. We're going to be in the mid-60s. A gorgeous night. And for tomorrow, the big G. Golden sunshine, breezy and warm. Temperatures will be in the upper 80s. You want to see the 5-day forecast? You've got it. Goes like this. Starting with Tuesday, a nice day to take off. What am I saying? I just got here. Anyhow, 89 degrees. Scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm Wednesday late. Again, the first night of Rosh Hashanah, and that's the frontal passage. Thursday, maybe a couple of scattered showers. 78 does it. Good start to the weekend, Friday and Saturday. Cooler, 78 on Friday. Saturday, right around 80 degrees. And by the way, a lot of people asking if I will visit schools again this year, and the answer is absolutely yes.
Terrific.
And there's the address. You can write to me at WPIX TV. I have to practice saying that. 11 WPIX Plaza, New York, 10017. It's terrific to be back.
Good to have you here. Can I get a picture of Harry Harrison?
Oh, yes, you can.
Oh, great. Yeah. Thanks.
Do I get free dinner? I heard that you treat newcomers.
Yeah, but I already did it for this year. A week ago.
That was for Mary.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Madonna?
Yes.
Okay, Madonna still has plenty of fans in New York, including Mr. G. Tickets went on sale at Madison Square Garden today for the Material Girls. 3 concerts here next month, and guess what? They're all sold out. The pop star is kicking off her world tour called The Girly Show in London on September 25th, and leave it to Madonna to find a new way to express herself. This show features a lot of vaudeville and burlesque with a go-go pole as a centerpiece. A go-go pole is the centerpiece of the stage. Apparently, this is the kind of pole found in some upscale strip clubs.
Oh.
That's what they tell me. So.
Okay. Jerry's here now with a preview of tonight's sports report.
Right. Yankees have a chance to gain a fraction. Hey, we'll take anything at this point. Highlights of their game in Milwaukee. And how about the Giants? Are they all the way back, or is this a mirage? Ooh.
Hi, this has to be in LA tomorrow.
No problem, sir.
With express mail from the Postal Service, you're never left in the dark.
Yes, your package is in LA and will be delivered.
Morning. From just $9.95, we track, we trace, we deliver for you.
If you want to be in a position of power, then get behind the wheel of a 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee V8. With a powerful 220 horsepower engine, 6,500-pound towing capacity, standard driver's side airbag, and 4-wheel anti-lock brakes. It lets you command power in any situation. The Jeep Grand Cherokee V8. The only thing more powerful is the savings.
See your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
I've always wanted an apartment with a view of the park.
I want a place in the country
where I can grow my roses.
Someplace with a feeling of neighborhood.
And a school where I felt that they were safe and secure.
We'd like to spend our 50th anniversary on some little island.
I would like 100,000 toys.
A whole paper towel can be too much or too little. You need Selecticize, the Bounty you customize. Special smaller sheets. Only Bounty lets you pick out 1 sheet for small jobs, 2 sheets for regular jobs, 3 sheets for large jobs. And it's 50% longer than regular Bounty. Selecticize, the Bounty you customize. The quicker, bigger, picker-upper. Bounty Selecticize.
A few months early for football bowl games, you say? Guess again. It's the 1993 World Mud Bowl, direct from the Hog Coliseum in New Hampshire. The Mount Washington Hogs versus the Mass Mudders. Just pretty much tell it all, except that the Mudders were upset winners, a thrill, a victory. Never quite like this.
Oh, my. That looks awful. What do you got for us?
One guy looked offside to me. What do I have? Well, Jimmy Key pitching for the Yankees. Yankees lead in Milwaukee in the 5th inning, 2-0. Key had 4 days rest before yesterday's game, but he was ready. They wanted to give him an extra day's rest. We're saving this guy for the big games, Olympics, stuff like that.
Right, good.
Let's take a look at the highlights as they occurred in the chronological order. Tartable in the 2nd inning, drives on the right center. Outstanding catch by Robin Yount. 3rd inning, Yankees rally. 2 men on. Boggs singles to left field on the hit and run. Gallegos scores to make it 1-0. After a play at the plate nailed a runner. With 2 out, Tartable comes up and gets a clutch single to left to make it 2-0. And that's where they are now. 5th inning, 2-0 Yankees, who started the night 2 games out. Meanwhile, at Fenway Park, the Orioles and Red Sox, not over yet. Red Sox lead at 6-4 in the 8th. 2nd inning, Rains, I make that Baines, in Spain, drives one to left field for a home run. Segui, later in the inning, singles to knock in another run. Hoyle scores on that. This guy Hoyles, not the household name, but a big-time player. Here he is in the 4th inning with a home run to make it 4-0. But the Red Sox rally to tie it and go ahead on this base hit by Naring. Makes it 5-4. It is now 6-4 Red Sox in the 8th. The Orioles began the night a game and a half out. Toronto not scheduled. In Kansas City, the start of that game was delayed by rain. They're in the 1st inning, no score. Texas 9-1 in the 6th. They began the night 3.5 games out. Rodriguez's 44th home run. And Oakland over Minnesota 7-2 in the 8th. At Shea, the Mets and Phillies. What a matchup, huh? Gets the blood going. 3rd inning, Dykstra drives one to left field in the 3rd inning to knock in a run to make it 1-0. And now a big play. Sacrifice fly. Jackson's throw is right on the money. Look at that, huh?
That's great.
Is anybody going to pick that up? Here's a ground ball to second. Throw to short. Throw to first is... Yes.
Gone.
Yes, that's right.
Terrific.
Phillies win it 5-0 behind Tommy Green. Oh. At Candlestick, just underway. No score in the 1st inning. Giants began the night 1 game back. Atlanta has the night off. Now, as Mr. G told you before, Colorado was snowed out. Already stealing my stories. That game was postponed. In Cleveland tonight, the Browns surprise lead 20-13 over the 49ers at halftime. Hey, Jerry, you think the Niners are going to cover tonight? I don't know, Augie. Sit down. All right. Only 2 games, but already Michael Brooks is playing better than Pepper did the last 2 years. Here's Brooks, the linebacker on the inside. Here's the running back. This play was killing the Giants the last 2 years. Little dump-off pass. But watch how Brooks closes on the receiver. Bang, just a 2-yard gain. Here's Brooks again. Watch him smell that play quickly, go inside the block, and make the stop. Hey, this guy is an inside linebacker if I've ever seen one. 4th and goal, it's Brooks again. From 1 yard out, they try to send Cobb through, but watch how quickly he gets to the ball carrier, trips him up, and then gets some help, including LT.
It's something about it, you know, when you're playing well and you know you're playing well and you're feeling good that you know you can handle anything they throw at you. And I think that was the type of feeling the defense had at that particular time. And I know I did, and I know Brooks, he did. And we played it well.
Got a good chance to go 3-0. They're home against the Rams this Sunday. For the Jets, tremendous team effort, but Boomer was the story. A real clinic in every phase of quarterbacking. Goes back to pass, looks to his right, to the left of your screen, looks the safety off so he can get single coverage on Rob Moore. And this is a thing of beauty, not only the pass, but the leaping catch. Then on the touchdown, good call. Behind the front 3, you see a lot of space there, so Boomer has to just go back a couple of steps, quarterback draw, touchdown. 3rd quarter, 3rd and 5. All game long, the Dolphins were slow picking up the running back out of the backfield. Chafee is all alone for the 3rd and 5. Critical first down. They wanted to get a field goal. And then look at this pass. Coleman comes in, pushes Criswell aside. This is a real good defensive play. But as he's got Boomer by the throat, he lets it go and completes the pass. They keep it alive, and then they have the clinching touchdown moments later. So, Jets and Giants win. Of course, the Mets. That's it in sports.
The Mets have now lost twice as many games as they've won.
Man does his homework. I'm not going to argue with that.
They really stink. Finally tonight, the massive rescue attempt became a great escape today in Flushing, Queens. Police officers and EMS workers trying to rescue a 4-foot turtle. It was a slow day for them. The thing weighs 1,000 pounds. He was stuck in 3 feet of mud in Flushing Bay. Rescuers wanted to try and push the big guy back out into the open water. Finally, they had to bring in a boat that had a big crane. And just when they thought they had him, he takes off. And he's gone. Here he goes. See you guys later. Turtle just swam away. And tonight, these guys are still on the shore wondering where he went. He's in parts unknown. 1,000 pounds. You know how much soup you could make with a 1,000-pound turtle?
That's Channel 11 News for this Monday. I'm Kaity Tong.
Thanks for being with us. I'm Jack Cafferty. Cheers is next. See you tomorrow night. Good night.
WPIX has news bureaus in New Jersey at 223 Montrose Avenue, Rutherford, and on Long Island at the Supreme Court building.
Enhanced mandatory sentences for carjackers. Assault weapons, weaker drunk driving laws, no mandatory sentences for carjackers. Does Whitman even understand?
It's Gossip Central on the next Geraldo. Why does Mama Onassis want to stop the nuts of John Jr. and Daryl Hannah? What secret do Woody and De Niro share? And for the latest in the Madonna Marky Mark tobacco, turn to Geraldo.
Today at 4.
Now, Mr. Fidelford, we'll talk about the painting.
Okay.
I have some samples. Oh, here we are. Now, the kitchen's to be white. Not a cold antiseptic hospital white.
No.
A little warmer, but still not to suggest any other color but white.
Uh-huh.